Ready or not, here I go. Hi guys. Yeah, as you can tell, I just came back from watching the latest horror thriller dark comedy film, Ready or Not. But before I go, I want to make kind of a little bit of an announcement just in case. First off, I'm still working on my videos of Japan. I finally finished at least 2 episodes. The third one got me a little bit of work because I've been looking for a lot of material because I don't want to make a the usual vlog here and there. This one is a more passionate project that I feel like working on it. But don't worry, I'm still gonna try to post it, and after at least I finish the 5th episode, that's when I will post my first episode of my Japan travel. But there's another second announcement that I just want to tell you, and that is that for the next couple of weeks it's gonna be a little bit hectic, a little bit for me. Why? Because I'm moving to a new apartment, a kind of smaller one than this, but so you're gonna have a little bit of a new environment to see, but don't worry, I'm gonna keep on doing movie vlogs and all this stuff. The police is there, so sorry about that. But yeah, as you can see, it's time to in a few weeks I'm moving away, but still I'm gonna try to make all these vlogs. So I want to let you know if you're gonna feel surprised that I'm gonna have a new background of doing my vlogs or something like that. So bear with me like that. So those are my few announcements. So let's get on with the movie of Ready or Not. Here we go. Ready or Not is a trailer that I was kind of a little bit worried because from the trailer that I saw, I felt that the plot kind of feel like it's gonna have the same vibe of dark humor, sarcastic humor that we see in a movie that I saw years ago, which is called You're Next. A film that was so stupid but had a little bit of potential here and there. But lo and behold, it gave me quite an interest to go see it. And so that's pretty much what I just went there and see. And I'll tell you right now that I really enjoy Ready or Not. I will say that it's probably one of the best movies I have seen this year. In my personal note, I'll say. But still, I really, really enjoy it. This Ready or Not is technically, again, it's darkly funny, is darkly morbid, is in a ways a little bit disturbing, not as disturbing as Midsummer, but it has its correct thing, is beautiful looking. Man, that I really like this movie. I really, really like this movie. So let's go on little by bits and pieces. So here it goes. So Ready or Not, the premise is about this recently wed woman named Grace, played by Samara Weaving. She gets married to this guy named Alex, played by Mark O'Brien. She basically is the newest member of the family of this rich family that they are kind of snobby, aristocratic, a little bit elitist, like I say, but she's happy to get married with the man that she loves. But then, of course, because they're a family, they're a family of rich people, they have a tradition. And it's technically a weird tradition in which whenever they introduce a new member to the family, they have to reunite in the mansion, and they have to play a game that is technically random, which is decided by a card. And of course, the newest family member has to put this card on a box, and the box will tell any kind of random game that it will pop out. For Grace, in this case, it's hide and seek. So you might think that, yeah, this is fine and dandy. Nope, because the twist is that this family tradition, they have to play by this rule because apparently, depending on what kind of game they get, the game kind of turns deadly. And again, it depends on the game. In this case, hide and seek. The loser must be killed. It must be they must be sacrificed as a ritual, because of course, family tradition says that that they have to make a sacrifice in order to keep the wealth of the family and all that. That's basically the premise, and it is up to our main character Grace to make it out alive until dawn. Boy, that this, you might think that this is kind of like a really, really ridiculous premise and a very, very simplistic premise, and it is. It has all these kind of elements, and man, and during the whole movie you always have to root for the main character, because in a way, one of the best aspects of this movie is none other than Samara Weaving. Not only because the character is likable, you don't want anything bad to happen to her and all that. It's also because the acting. Samara Weaving does great in this film, and seeing this character going through a really, really bad situation is thrilling. It puts you on the edge of the seat. I remember being during the whole movie always thinking, please run, and man, poor woman, and what I like about this movie is that it's one of those that whenever she has a kind of like a situation, it goes from better to worse, and you don't see that this character overpowers almost everything, because sometimes the moment in which she has a moment of strength, something worse then happens. I mean, yeah, it is shown that she can be a strong character, but she's also a vulnerable character. This pretty much makes this movie even worth it. And now we talk a little bit of the kind of like the other actors, because the other actors were actually pretty good too. As for a character, I will say that the husband, Alex, he's technically in this guy who is torn up between the family and his love, because you notice that he's one of the few characters who tries to help her escape, because he loves her, but also he's very reluctant to tell almost everything to her. You notice because even at the start of the movie, you know that this guy kind of went away, and then he came back to the family, and there's something of a premise that I'll get to that, which is one of the weakest part of this film. Also, but in my mind, it's like, dude, if you love her so much, why don't you tell her? And they involve that plot, but it's a kind of like a weak plot hole that they just fill in. But it's still something, because, well, let's say that the power of love makes people do stupid things. One of the strengths that this movie has also is that while this is technically a cat and mouse chase of a defenseless character running away from a crazy family, the movie, it makes it well to balance that we not only see the perspective of our main character, but it also gives us a little bit of a perspective of this really kind of dysfunctional, elitist, rich family that they just kind of stuck up into this wealth, into this tradition, and they're not technically like a family of psychopaths that they have to kill, every year. Is that they just had the bad luck that they have kind of like a win or lose game, that they just have to do it because they have to believe that well, the tradition says that if there's a winner, they live, and the losers they lose, because, well, it is established in the film that many years ago a guy found a box, and that box, that it gives out the card, and it makes, a deal with the demon that they will give them wealth and all this stuff, with the condition that every time a new family member appears, they have to play a random game. And like they say, it could be anything. It could be Old Maid. It could be a simple game of cards. Or when you see the environment, you see their board games, but there are board games and all this stuff. And usually, that some games like Old Maid, usually they don't have technically a big winner or big loser thing. But when there is a win or lose game, the loser has to, it has to be brought up as a sacrifice in order to appease, well, the demon, let's say. Well, and what I like about this movie is that it leaves there's not enough paranormal stuff to see. Actually, there's basically nothing paranormal, in which it makes you question if that tradition or that belief is actually real or not. And you know what? At least I'll say that I'm not gonna review you exactly if this is true or not, because that will mean that I should spoil the movie. It's kind of predictable if you see these kind of movies, but the only thing I will tell you is that the climax, the big ending climax is satisfactory. I know I jump ahead a little bit, but I have to tell you this: that yeah, I like that they kept they kept that question if all this traditional and that belief is total horseshit or not. And you can notice that because they keep on this family tradition of the rich and all this stuff, they just become mad, and they just become mad. They feel like it can be a normal family, but when they're pushed to the corner, they kind of become psychotic. And what I like is that since they're not accustomed to become, murderers, for on a daily basis, you can see their weakness, that they can properly use weapons. They just have to deal with what they got. Most notably, there's a little bit of a running gag with a few characters that whenever they have to they shoot or something, or with a gun or a crossbow, they either miss or hit the wrong target, or they just drop out their weapon. So technically they're inept to that. They're not used to it, but man, this kind of shows this. It shows how desperate and wackadoodle this family is. And you might think that, of course, the Alex character is kind of like probably one of the few characters who support our main hero, Grace. But let me tell you that of all these crazy family members, probably the most grounded, but yet the most torn and the most interesting character who has this little bit of character development is none other than the character of Danny, played by Adam Brody. Because we see a flashback of Adam and Alex, that they had to partake in one of the killing games, which I think it was also hide and seek, in which they survive. And well, you see that the brothers like each other. They support each other, and the character of Daniel, again played by Adam Brody, he's basically in the kind of like the most neutral of all the characters. He has to play. He plays the game because he has no choice. But since he knows that Grace and Alex love each other, he just gives her a little bit of a fighting chance, at least. Like when he had the chance to kill her, he just gives her a 10-second running start, because well he doesn't know what if he. Well, he likes the character. He likes Grace. He likes his brother. He doesn't want anything to happen, but well, them's the rules. He has to play the neutral party. And it is a little bit into the movie that you're gonna see him that he does have a little bit of sanity into him. I'm not gonna exactly reveal what it is, but let's say that the only clue I will tell you is that there are moments in which children cannot be forgiven. That's the only thing I will give you as a clue. Now let's go with other matters that this movie has. Cinematography is good. Sometimes you get a little bit of a shaky camera, let's say, but it didn't harm the movie specifically. The setting, the mansion itself with its lighting is beautiful. I really like that. I really like that house. It's probably is as big or probably even bigger than the one that you see in a movie like You're Next. I like a lot of the themes that this movie has. If I wanna be a little bit like a snobbish guy who just looks for themes or anything, because from what I could perceive personally about this movie, is that this movie is kind of like a cynical criticism to, you know, the family traditions in which they always want to keep, you know, a tradition because it keeps them wealthy, and well, they also say that we have in order to become part of the family, you have to, you know, partake in this kind of tradition that even if it will turn them into monsters. In this case, trying to kill an innocent woman. There's a little bit about love, and sometimes also there is in my opinion, in the character of Danny, in which he kind of reflects if it is worth it to keep family traditions in order to keep on a cycle that brings death and suffering to well, any unfortunate who gets to play this card. And mostly because of a belief that it might be probably bullshit. And well, we also have with Alex, who he loves his how can I say, he loves his you know, his groom, but he's a guy who practically kind of this is something that it kind of bothered me, or probably I didn't understand. They technically say that he did run away from the house, but then he got married because he wanted to get married, and then he came back, but still had to partake, you know, the family tradition because that's what they say. So in his belief, he still believes that, you know, the consequences of not making the ritual, because in a way he's torn to either believe it or not believe it. That's technically what I could say. But it also shows again a little bit of the ineptitude of all these family members, that they bicker, they're technically unhappy with each other, but they say that, well, we gotta do what we gotta do. There are a few who kind of really embraces the tradition, like the head guy. What was the name? I think it was Henry Cerny, who was the patriarch of the family. Man, that he is. That he really hams up almost everything, but it's kind of delightful. I think there's this old woman, I'm not gonna bother to see the name, that for some reason she kind of came out from a crazy Tim Burton cartoon with her white hair, and during the whole movie you see her with this big halberd. That I don't know. I don't know, it kind of makes me feel like she's kind of like this Tim Burton-y anime character that you find in these kind of demented old people thing. And well, there's also a little bit of a I kind of also have a glee on how exaggerated they have this I think it was the butler who has a really big liking to classical music. Well, apart from that, I gotta warn you, yes, this movie can be gory. If there is a scene that will make you cringe, and I'm not gonna say what it is, but the only moment that I will say to you is that it's a moment that takes place in a barn. That part will make you cringe, I'll say, if you don't have the stomach of it. And that's technically what I can say about the blood and gore about this film. You gotta get ready for these kind of things. And as for the humor, yeah, their humor, it's technically, again, a little bit that in the style of Your Next, I'll say, in which they always bicker. They kind of try to act cute, even though they are people who kind of they try to keep the traditional family because they're kind of forced into it. They want to keep themselves wealthy, and they don't feel like they're doing it for the well-being of the new member, just because they just have to do what the traditions do. And when you see them kind of have this bigger comedy, it kind of humanizes the our villains. I mean, you don't root for them. You don't necessarily have to root for them. The more you see them that they are as psychotic as a Charles Manson family. And man, but at least you kind of get like a guilty glee out of it. In my opinion, I just kind of get. I really like this kind of balance that it has. It balances some dark humor and it balances some thrills, because you can't stop laughing of the ridiculous family that there is, but you can't help to feel that our main character must get away from this horrible situation. And I think that's about it that I can tell about Ready or Not. So yes. So anyway, what I can tell you is that I enjoyed this film. I highly recommend if you're kind of forgiving on these kind of films. There are some aspects that you might not like in it, but I personally really like it. I think it is for me one of the best movies I have seen this year, at least on the thriller horror aspect of it. So, Ready or Not, I'm done.